Good
All right.
morning.
Good morning to everyone. And sorry, give me a sec. Hi, Dave. Good morning. Is it okay if I call you Dave? Uh,
Of course, Julius. Yeah.
yeah. So thanks very much for joining us this morning. But before we begin anything, we'd like to start our sessions always with quick prayer. So if we may just have that for let's start our day by putting ourselves in the presence of the Lord, please.
Lord, thank you for this day, for the presence of everyone in this call. For once again, we are gathered and given the opportunity to appreciate life and your words. Forgive us for our shortcomings and cleanse our hearts as we learn and live your words and example. Father, bless our endeavors, especially today's meeting. May you guide us in our discussions, and may you enlighten our minds in every decision that we make. Give us your grace that we may effectively do our parts for your greater glory. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right. And after God comes country, may we please show our respect for the Philippine national anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, helas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bangaw, ay hinagang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang patawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang ay di magtitindig. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya ng partay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay. And after country come the people that make the Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation possible. May we please just show on screen all of the people through whom their generosity we are able to bring you our sessions every week, as well as do all of our educational initiatives and any potential future programs that we have, as well as supporting different organizations that are engaged in agribusinesses and countryside development here in the Philippines. To all of our members, thank you very much for your kindness and your generosity. Without you, we would not be here today. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us bright and early this rainy Tuesday morning. You know, we really can't catch a break. There's a typhoon that just went north, and now we have another typhoon that's thankfully not going to hit us, but it is still bringing us a lot of inclement weather. So I do hope, I do thank everyone for joining us this dreary morning. Anyway, I'm your chairman, Julius Barcelona. And on the other hand, if you're joining us 2 weeks later through our social media uploads, thank you very much. And we hope you enjoyed today's session on a smoke-free environment by our speaker this morning, Dave Gomez. If you are interested in today's session and any of the other previous sessions that we've had, all of our social media uploads are available for your viewing pleasure. But if you would like to join us for live in our sessions through Zoom, where you can engage with our speaker, ask questions to them, or engage with our vast network of agribusiness and countryside development organizations, consider joining us as a member. The Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation is organized in partnership with the Management Association of the Philippines. And it is through the generosity of our members that we are able to bring you everything that we do. If that interests you, please introduce yourself. Send us an email, let us know who you are, and we'd be very happy to have you on board. Our links are in the description. Okay, so without further ado, may I please invite our president, Mr. Ernesto Ordonez, to introduce our speaker for this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure to introduce Dave Gomez. He'll talk to us about having a smoke-free future. But given the rains, we want a president that is flood-free and drought-free. And just to let you know, so much water, we collect 4%. So when the drought comes in with no water, whereas India collects in many places 60%. So one of our coming forums will be about water. Water everywhere when there's floods and water when there's drought, and we don't collect the freaking water, right? With the new secretary, Loizaga, we're doing that. Now, going to smoke-free future, we love the title. We love even more the speaker. Who's the speaker? Well, the speaker is the youngest ever head of the Philippine Information Agency. He served for 1 year, went on to Philip Morris, but when he was there, he changed a lot of things. But interestingly, after that, he went to Philip Morris. He's been with them for 21 years. Interestingly, not is he only the director of global communications of Philip Morris Fortune Tobacco Incorporated. He has been assigned to many offices, and we're global. You know, our world is now global. Well, he was assigned globally to Switzerland, Hong Kong, different parts of the country. He's won accolades. He won the Stevie Award for communications last year, 2022. And before Philip Morris, there's a top reporter, senior reporter of Philippine Star. You know, we want to emphasize that our chairman said that these forums must result in countryside development and poverty reduction. And very often, the gap is communications. We have here an expert in communications. So hopefully he will not only talk to us about, you know, smoke-free future, but maybe we can encourage him to help us with our communications so we reach more effectively our audience so that they too fulfill the mission of our department chair, which is from the forums with the information to help in poverty reduction and countryside development. So without much further ado, we'd like to bring to you someone's going to talk about smoke-free future. Interestingly, he's from Philip Morris. I thought Philip Morris has to have smoke to survive. But he's Philip Morris Fortune Tobacco Incorporated, and it should be fascinating. And we know how important smoke is in terms of health, etc. So here he is, Dave Gomez, the Director of Global Communications of Philip Morris Fortune Tobacco Incorporated.
Thank you very much, President Ordonez. I know President Ordonez personally before as Secretary Ordonez. I used to cover him when I was a reporter for the Philippine Star, when I was covering Congress and when he would testify before Congress. It's always been a very engaging session to cover you, sir. So I'm very happy to see you again this morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the kind introduction. I am extremely humbled to be among peers and colleagues from the Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation of the Management Association of the Philippines. As you know, PMFTC is also very much an agriculture company. We've worked with a lot of tobacco farmers up north and a lot of local officials from the LGU up north, where we grow tobacco in the Philippines, a major cash crop for our farmers in the Philippines. When I received the invitation from Bernie to join your forum this morning, the letter mentioned that to be invited, speakers must meet a certain standard. To quote, they must be leaders in their fields or innovators for meaningful change. Then I was asked to talk about our company's smoke-free future vision. I may not be a leader in my field, but it is certainly my honor to talk about our bold vision that disrupts the very core of our business, that is selling cigarettes. A tobacco company going smoke-free, you may ask, sounds counterintuitive, even bordering on the impossible. But then the task to achieve that goal, no matter how daunting it may seem, is made lighter when no less than our global CEO has proclaimed that cigarettes should one day belong in a museum. Yes, our CEO said very recently that cigarettes should one day belong in a museum. But I'm getting ahead. Permit me, if you may, please to introduce our company first. I belong to PMFTC Inc., the business combination between Philip Morris International and the Lushutan Group here in the Philippines. PMFTC has provided stable employment, supported communities, and is a steady revenue source for the government even during the pandemic. We are an employer of choice, a major tobacco leaf buyer, a top taxpayer, and a partner to law enforcement in the campaign against non-compliant and non-tax paid products. Philip Morris is an old company. PMI is the leading tobacco company powered by iconic brands like Marlboro, Chesterfield, and Fortune here in the Philippines. We've been here for over 170 years, and in the Philippines, we've been here for more than 70 years. But as you will see, this is a story of how our company has transformed. We are now where we are now and how we plan to go further. Change is a funny thing. There's a notion that people from my generation and maybe the generation for most of you too are resistant to change. Yet it is happening every day in ways we hardly notice. In over 3 decades working as a journalist and a public affairs executive, the work I do and how I do that work have changed tremendously over the years. I still remember getting so excited over my first personal computer and then having that excitement crushed when I had to sit through the agonizing dial up connection of the fax machine. We had beepers then when we were pounding the beat as cub reporters. But in a blink of an eye, technology did what we thought was unthinkable back in the day. Suddenly, we had smartphones, tablets, and laptops. Today, Siri and Alexa are our BFF. Social media is now challenging the press as the primary source of news to many. The same holds true for the tobacco industry. What we thought was unthinkable then is upon us. We know the harms caused by smoking, and it can be fatal. We also know that smoke is the principal cause of diseases for smokers and deaths attributable to smoking. Today, though, through science and innovation, we can take the smoke out of smoking. We know that when we light up something, smoke is released. The act of burning produces a chemical factory. We find smoke released when we burn charcoal for our barbecue, from the internal combustion engine of our cars, or when people burn their trash. It's the same with cigarettes. When we light up a stick of cigarette, smoke is released and it is made up of more than 6,000 chemical compounds, many of which are found to be toxic and cancer causing. The burning of tobacco releases nicotine. Nicotine, although not entirely risk free and is addicting, is not the primary cause of smoking related diseases. It's the smoke. Smoke is the problem, not nicotine. In fact, most doctors prescribe nicotine replacement treatments for smokers having a hard time quitting, such as nicotine patches and nicotine gums. Since 2008, PMI has invested more than $10.5 billion to develop, scientifically substantiate, and commercialize innovative smoke free products for adults who would otherwise continue to smoke, with their goal to completely ending the sale of cigarettes. These products heat and do not burn tobacco. In the process, an aerosol or vapor is released containing mainly water, glycerin, and nicotine. IQOS, our flagship heated tobacco product, was recognized by the US Food and Drugs Administration as fundamentally different from cigarettes because there is no combustion. IQOS heats real tobacco and does not burn it. It was authorized by the US FDA to be marketed in the US as it was deemed, and I quote, appropriate to promote the public health and is expected to benefit the health of the population as a whole, unquote. There is overwhelming science today which concluded that vaping products such as IQOS are much better alternatives than continuing to smoke. Many other public health authorities, like the Public Health England, the UK College of Royal Physicians, have validated scientific findings that vape products produce 90 to 95% less of the toxins compared to conventional cigarettes. And this is the goal of our transformation. The day we sell our last stick of cigarettes. Why are we doing it? It's simply because it's the right thing to do. We are guided by a simple basic principle. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. And if you don't quit, change. I repeat, if you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. And if you don't quit, change. Change is here. There is a better alternative for smokers. Our aim is to become a majority smoke free business by 2025. That's just 3 years from now. By targeting more than 50% of our total revenues to come from smoke free products, we are accelerating toward a world without cigarettes. Today, smoke free products account for nearly 35% of our total net revenues. As of end of June, there are approximately 19.4 million users worldwide of IQOS, of whom 72% had stopped smoking completely. In the Philippines, where we just celebrated the third year since the launch of IQOS, there are now more than 75,000 adult smokers who have shifted to heated tobacco and abandoned smoking altogether. It is difficult for a lot of people to wrap their heads around the fact that Philip Morris is telling people that the best thing an adult smoker can do is to quit cigarettes and nicotine altogether. That if adult smokers don't quit, then there are better alternatives. Even more daringly, that a cigarette company is now saying that cigarettes would one day become artifacts of the past, akin to relics of time long gone, like the fax machine, payphones, even dinosaur fossils. The reality is, especially in a country like the Philippines, there are still people who continue to smoke. In fact, there are still more than 1 billion smokers in the world today. This number will not significantly decrease in 3 years or by the year 2025, according to the World Health Organization's own estimates. Despite restrictive laws, government efforts, and massive campaigns to curb smoking prevalence, there are still 16 million smokers in the Philippines, with a quit rate of only 4%, a very small quit rate of 4%, and mostly by cold turkey. It is clear that the current approach of ending cigarette smoking is not working. What is going wrong? Picture this: you're in a relationship, you fall into the same arguments, make the same mistakes, and somehow hope that everything will magically turn around without altering your behavior. It's like watching hamsters running on a wheel, going nowhere, yet never learning. We neglect the essential ingredient, the openness to change. That is actually what's happening here. Most proposals to discourage smoking are the same. This focus on tightening the noose around consumers' pockets by increasing taxes year on year, draconian regulations like graphic health warnings covering half of our packs, public smoking bans, and even outright banning of cigarettes in certain places. Science has presented us the opportunity now to grow, evolve, and break free from the chains of pointless repetition. We have the chance to implement an innovative approach proven in several countries with the potential to speed up the end to cigarettes. Make no mistake, to this day, there are a lot of entities who would rather see the entire tobacco industry go down rather than see an end to cigarettes. They pay no mind to the immense collateral damage. Thousands of workers and tobacco farmers will lose their livelihoods. That millions of adult smokers who don't quit will be impacted negatively. That illicit trade will flourish once prohibitionist policies are in place. When you pair this with the precautionary principle, which is said to be a better not to do anything until we know everything mindset, it results in inaction. It results in government inaction. As I said earlier, better scientifically substantiated alternatives exist today. Non-promotion or even a ban on these alternatives are catastrophic. It just extends the life of cigarettes while cutting short the lives of those who smoke. For smokers today, inaction is far from a neutral stance. Every decision we make, including the decision not to act, has consequences. Consequences that ripple through our lives, our communities, and our world. There are now a significant case to be made, not only if smoke-free products are better than cigarettes, but rather by how much is it better. With the WHO's own data, estimates and model, we've calculated the potential public health impact of the world smokers switching to better alternatives. Assuming that these products are at least 80% less risky than cigarettes, and if people who currently smoke switch completely, then over their lifetime, there is a real potential for a tenfold reduction in smoking attributable deaths. This is compared to historical tobacco control measures that I mentioned earlier. In the Philippines, based on the same third-party estimates and modeling, there is a potential for an eightfold reduction in smoking-related deaths if adult Filipino smokers fully switch to smoke-free products. It is fair to say that inaction has very real, very human consequences. The science exists. There are hundreds of peer-reviewed journals. They all say one thing, that smoke-free alternatives are better for smokers who do not quit. But the devastating policy of inaction continues in many places, perpetuating a vicious cycle of misinformation that prevent millions of adult smokers from switching to better alternatives. There is a great man who once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Refusal to accept the evidence staring us in the face and remain passive will only lead to millions of deaths worldwide from smoking. Inaction is a choice that shapes the future. And this is, I believe, where the ABCD and the Management Association of the Philippines can help us. Uh, if you are a smoker, if you have friends who smoke, if you have loved ones who smoke and they don't quit cigarettes, please tell them what you heard today. Change is here, and the time to change is now. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been very generous with your time. Maraming salamat po. And I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that very succinct presentation, Dave. And it's very interesting to see sometimes how the phrase "change comes from within," I think, is implemented at times. So okay, so now we are going to open our floor for questions. So first of all, I'd like to check, Dave. Up to what time can you stay with us?
I'm good, Julius. I blocked off until 10 p.m. 10 a.m. this morning.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks very much. So just so for everyone's information, just as we always do, we have our formal session first. This is what we will upload for the consumption of our audience in other countries as well. So any questions that people may have, what you do is you look, if you're on your computer, you look at the bottom of your screen. There's a button there or an option there that says reactions. If you click that, you'll see an option that says raise hand, which will allow you to have a little hand above your head. Like in my case, you can see there's a yellow hand above my head right now on the top left corner of my screen. If you are on cell phone, whether you're an Android or iOS, you look for the three dots or the three horizontal lines. If you tap that, that will also show you the option for reactions. So you tap that as well, and then that will show you the raise hand option. Otherwise, you can also put your questions in the chat box. Just write out your question and I will line you up for to ask your question. Failing all of that, try to catch your attention. I will ask Bernie and Vivian to let me know that you're trying to catch the speaker and you'd like to ask a question. During the formal session, I'd also like to request that we limit ourselves to one question as much as possible. We'll allow a follow-up if it's relevant to the question that you just asked, but let's try to give as much opportunity for all of the members of our audience to ask their questions. All right, so let's open the floor to your questions. Any questions from our audience?
Mr. Chair, just a point of order. We talked about how we want to change things within forums. We also want to communicate with each other in within forums, especially with our speaker. I got his permission earlier. David, you said that you'd be kind enough to give us your number so we can call you from anywhere in the Philippines or anywhere in the world. Is it okay for you to give us your phone number, because we want the communication between our audience and you to be direct, no need to go through the bureaucracy of going through us, right? So could you give us a phone number we can reach you at, David?
Sure. My pleasure, Mr. President. I can be reached through my mobile. That's Globe 0917 860 5898. Again, that's 0917 860 5898. Yes. Thank you.
That's very generous, David, because many give their office numbers. They don't want to be disturbed. But you're giving us your cell number. So we really appreciate this.
No problem.
Repeat it for people, 0917 860 5898. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please proceed.
Okay, sure. Thanks very much, Ernie. Yeah, we do have an audience that not just here in the Philippines, but from other countries as well. They might be interested in reaching out to you, so it's good to put that on the air. Okay, yeah. So any questions from our audience this morning? All right, I see Ike has raised his hand. Ike, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Dave. How does that work? What do we tell people? We tell them to stop smoking and shift to IQOS. Is that how it is?
Yes, sir. I mean, smoking is bad for a smoker. It can cause many serious diseases and can even lead to cancer. So for a smoker who's concerned over his health, he should quit. He should quit. Now, there are smokers who have a hard time quitting and they do not quit. Then I think the gospel, the message today is there are now better alternatives to smoking, as I discussed earlier. There are better alternatives, and they can switch to these alternatives if they are having a hard time quitting cigarettes.
Are you going to have a campaign to tell people to stop smoking and shift to IQOS?
I mentioned that earlier, our guiding principle, and we call it actually Unsmoke, Unsmoke Pilipinas. It's an advocacy. It's our corporate campaign, and if I may repeat, the message of Unsmoke Pilipinas is: if you smoke, quit. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. And if you don't quit, change. And as we said, change is here. There are now better alternatives.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So are there other questions from the audience?
Julius, may I ask if there is none?
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bernie.
Dave, my question is, there had been several legislation in terms of taxation for tobacco products. How has this impacted your alternatives to smoking? Will you be able to still support all of these laws, especially on health?
Very good question, Dev. As I said earlier, taxation is one of the tools available for government to curb smoking. And at the same time, taxation allows us to contribute to government coffers in terms of revenues that they generate from excise taxes. To us, we support reasonable, fair increases in excise taxes of cigarettes. We just are concerned that excessive or massive increases in taxes can result into unintended consequences, like the rise in illicit trade. When taxes are raised so high and prices of cigarettes go so high, the environment suddenly becomes conducive to cheap, illicit, non-tax paid cigarettes. So that's the problem, no? For our smoke-free product like IQOS, government has provided a differentiation based on the risk profiles, and therefore taxation for smoke-free products like IQOS and vape products are a little bit lower than cigarettes, acknowledging the fact that the risk profile for these products are significantly lower than conventional cigarettes. So it's a very good gesture on the part of government, as this would encourage, because of the price parity, that price difference and the tax difference, this would encourage smokers to switch, to trend down to this much cheaper smoking alternatives.
All right.
What is
Thanks
the
very much.
difference? Sorry, Julius.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just curious, Dave. What is the difference, maybe in terms of percentage, in terms of the taxation for smoking products and non-smoking?
Bev, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I do believe that if if I'm not mistaken, because cigarette taxes increases every year, no, every January. So the tax per pack now is, I believe, around 55 pesos per pack, and for IQOS it's around 25 pesos per pack. So it's a big difference. There's a differentiation in tax, no. So if you pass it on to the price, then therefore we can price these products much lower than cigarettes.
All right. Thanks very much for that. I see we have a question from Aries.
Yes, good
Uh,
morning. Good morning.
yeah,
My
morning.
Morning, guys.
yeah, hi. Good morning. My name is Aris Asilo. I'm the CEO of Barako. I used to be a smoker and I stopped smoking at the age of 28. And I used to smoke Philip as my favorite. Yeah, yung mahaba. 2 pesos pa lang yun.
Congratulations.
Yes, Sir Dave, your presentation, your vision and mission are quite impressive, and but they're at the same time they're complicated by the fact that you also sell cigarettes and alternative products. As a communication director, how do you deal with that paradox? For someone like me that I stopped smoking at 20, it's kind of I'm curious. How do you deal with that paradox? Thank you.
Very good question, Aris. No, well, as I mentioned earlier, the aspiration, the goal of our company, to be a majority smoke-free product company in just 3 years, in 2025, meaning half of our revenues would already be coming from the smoke-free alternatives, not from cigarettes anymore. Uh, in as much as we want to abandon cigarettes this quickly, if we do that, we will be creating a vacuum, and that vacuum may be filled by a lot of players who may not share the same vision as we have. It may also be filled, the vacuum may also be filled by illicit traders selling illicit smuggled cigarettes. That's why the change that we are aspiring for is a long-term vision for our company. But we're making the right strides at the moment. We're taking the right steps, and hopefully, we will achieve that vision one day. And the initial goal right now is within 3 years, we would be able to become a majority smoke-free product company, with most of our revenues not coming from cigarettes anymore, but from this smoke-free product. In that manner, we accelerate our our desire, our vision to achieve a smoke-free Pilipinas, a smoke-free future.
Great. Thanks very much for that, Aries. Oh, sorry. You wanted to say something?
Oh, no. Just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Salamat, Aris.
Thanks very much,
Uh,
Aries. Okay.
Incident, just a soundbite. Aris is the newest board member. He's TOIM for youth in agriculture, etc., etc. So
Wow.
Aris, welcome, and hope.
Okay, thanks very much for that. We have a question from Ed. Ed, would you like to say that out loud, or
No, well,
Ed
actually,
okay?
it seems
Yeah,
you're right. It seems you're right. IQOS is less harmful than the smoking, but it is still a form of vaping. Is it the same?
It is correct, sir. It is a form of vaping. We do not burn the tobacco anymore. We just simply heat the tobacco, and the process of heating only releases a form of aerosol or vapor. It does not release smoke anymore. And as we know, vapor, like when we boil water, only water is released, and glycerin and nicotine, which is naturally occurring in the tobacco plant.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks very much for that. All right. Other questions from our audience?
Julius, may I ask?
Sige, let's give way to Oscar first.
Sige,
Kasi
sige, go,
he has a
go.
biggest there. Oscar, please. Also, you're mute, Oscar.
Yeah, okay, Dave. I'm not a smoker, and but I'm a technical guy. I'm an engineer, chemical engineer. So I just want to know exactly what happens in your device, your whatever IQOS device. First, you are you going to be using? You're going to use tobacco, continue to use tobacco leaves? Is that correct?
That's correct,
So,
sir.
and therefore, the tobacco industry, I mean, in Ilocos, for example, the farmers and etc., they will continue to be, suppliers.
That's correct, sir. That's correct. Yes.
So, walang problema about the employment of tobacco farmers.
There
They
will
will continue.
That's right. That's
Okay.
that's right. That's correct.
So, okay, in your device, therefore, it's a system of using tobacco leaves and then basically heating, no longer burning.
Yes.
And but then to the user, he gets the same kind of, well, I don't know how do you call it, euphoria or whatever. I'm not a smoker actually, so I'm kind of, just curious, not really. So is that your idea actually of your device? Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the question, sir. And I'd be happy to explain the technology behind our product. So if I may share this device I'm holding right now, this is the IQOS device, no? And this is what we call heat sticks. These are tobacco sticks made up of real tobacco. And if I may show you the heat sticks, if you open it, there are actually real tobacco inside. Now, the key, if you want smokers to abandon cigarettes, is not just to develop a scientifically substantiated product that is less harmful than cigarettes, but at the same time, it has to be acceptable to a smoker in order for him to switch. Now, most vaping products that we see in the market today and outside come in the form of liquid nicotine. Yung e-cigarettes ho na nakikita natin ngayon, iniinit lang yung liquid nicotine and it releases nicotine through that vapor. It is also significantly less harmful than a regular cigarette. However, the difference with IQOS is IQOS we use real tobacco. So a smoker experiences real tobacco taste, real tobacco pleasures and compared to liquid nicotine. So that's why it is easier, we hope, for a smoker to switch to IQOS and abandon cigarette completely. Now, as to the technology of our device, uh, it took us more than 10 years and more than 10 billion US dollars to develop in a research facility in Switzerland. We had several iteration of this technology, but the idea behind it is really not to burn cigarettes anymore and heat it. Now, the device contained a heating blade inside that raises the temperature of the tobacco to around 350 degrees centigrade, uh, enough to heat the tobacco and release a vapor. We know that burning starts at around 800 or 900 degrees centigrade. It doesn't really reach that point. We only heat the tobacco until 350 degrees centigrade so that it releases vapor, not smoke. And when you finish using your IQOS, uh, you will see, if you open the stick, the tobacco is still there. It's not burned, and there is no ash. There is no ash. The tobacco is still there because it was only heated. Ininit lang siya, hindi siya sinunog, so walang abo, walang ash. That's why we tell our consumers that IQOS does not produce smoke, it smells less, and it has no ash. It has no ash. So that, without going too technical, is the technology, the science behind our product. And if you use it like that, and it doesn't really smoke, a little vapor, but it doesn't really smoke. So it's really much better. It's much better than cigarettes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oscar, do you have a quick follow-up?
Well, yeah, okay, that's really interesting. Well, it's interesting. It's innovative. I agree, and well, it will, since the device kind of looks like a long cigarette, it will not change much the the appearances and etc.
And the ritual for the smoker. The ritual for the smoker.
In fact, it looks longer than a normal cigarette. But then, in the old times, okay, maybe in the 1920s, I remember people would have a cigarette holder, which is like an extension, and it would be even stylish. Or
Yes.
elite gentlemen would kind of, in the old movies, I would black and
Yeah,
white pa yun, and in those days.
I remember.
And they would be, Clark Gable and all of those guys, their cigarettes would be long, but they would really be cigarette holders, and then they insert their cigarettes. So the only difference, therefore, is the basically burning. You're
Yes.
not, we call it burning or pyrolysis, okay?
Right, that's right.
It's
That's
not a
correct.
fire.
That's right.
And which produces maybe all the harmful chemicals. In your case, you're actually kind of, the technical word is distilling. Actually, you're heating up and taking out vapors. In chemical industry, that's distillation lamang yun or something like that. So
That's dahil may moisture in tobacco.
correct. Yeah, I think it's a innovative way to substitute for those people who have that habit of holding something and in their hands, and yun lang, wala yung mga stylish na yung mga yung smokers, they would have a style even of flicking the tobacco ashes in the train, di ba? Yeah, okay. Yeah, sige. Okay, I'll go along with it. I think the idea is at least you don't have the opposition from the farmers. You're continuing to help the farming community in the north. Anyway, yeah, okay. Good
Definitely.
idea.
Definitely. This is a nicotine delivery system, and
Okay,
nicotine.
but how about the pricing? How about your pricing?
As I mentioned earlier, a pack of heat sticks is much cheaper than a pack of Marlboro now. It's much cheaper.
Okay.
And the device is a one-time purchase. So you purchase the device around 3,000 pesos, and that's it. It's a one-time purchase. And when you buy per pack, it's significantly lower. I believe right now it's around 50% cheaper than a pack of Marlboro.
Would your marketing, would you market that, let's say, in sari-sari stores or things like that, in the community?
Yes, we launched IQOS in the Philippines 3 years ago, but it was a slow launch. We piloted it first in the National Capital Region in NCR, where we believe we have the ability to inform and raise awareness on the product, and at the same time, consumers will have the purchasing power to buy the device and IQOS. Then we expanded our pilot launch nationwide through e-commerce and brick and mortar stores. The idea eventually would be to sell these products to low and middle income consumers, And that's why by end of last year in November, we started selling in pilot sari-sari stores again in NCR. And ultimately, with the vision of having these products available nationwide, both online and offline.
All right. Thanks very much for that,
Okay.
Oscar. Sige, I'll go to Cesar because Cesar also had a question earlier. Then I'll go to Bernie, then to Ike,
Yeah.
unless other people. Yeah, Ike. Sorry, Cesar, please come.
Yeah. Good morning, Dave. I'm not.
Right.
I don't know if we're relatives, but we're not because of our hairdo, no. But I think Oscar already asked the question. I'm really more interested now in the marketing and pricing.
Yes.
I can see the regular cigarettes, the vaping, and the IQOS. The way you're telling me, the first expenditure is 3,000 pesos.
Around 3,000 pesos, yes.
A regular smoker using regular cigarettes, I don't want to spend that. So I'm just wondering, really my question is, how much now is the vaping? And really my question is, do you have a separate marketing for the lower income compared to those who can, higher income? Because I think you've shown us that IQOS is healthier. Okay, IQOS is healthier. It's like beer and light beer or something like that. But do you have a different marketing campaign for the low income compared to the high income? But perhaps answer me first is 3,000 pesos, then how much is my regular uh, expenses for the IQOS? Thank you.
Thank you for that question, sir, and the opportunity. Let me just put it a little bit in context. We're not saying that this is a healthier product. No tobacco product is healthy and risk free. We're saying it is a better alternative than cigarettes. It releases 90 to 95% less of the toxic chemicals that a cigarette would release. But definitely it's not healthy. It's not a healthy option. In terms of pricing, as I mentioned earlier, there is a one-time cost in purchasing the device. But since per pack of the tobacco sticks are much lower than your regular cigarettes, over time, maybe based on your regular cigarette consumption over time, in 2 or 3 months' time, you may have recovered already the cost of that single device purchase. No? And moving forward, you will enjoy less cost in terms of your habit. Uh, Now, to your question for low and middle income consumers, I'm really sorry I failed to mention that earlier. In November, we launched a much cheaper device, a more affordable device that is priced at around 950 pesos, and we call it Bonds by IQOS. I just don't have the device here with me right now, but it's a much cheaper device, and that is the device that we are marketing to low and middle income adult smokers.
Yes, Cesar.
No, Ike might have, because I just want to push it further, but Ike has a question.
No, go ahead, sir.
Well,
Please.
okay.
Okay, so you now have a lower first cost. How much is my regular pack of IQOS cigarette? And either social media or the traditional tri-media would have a separate advertising and promotions for the low income compared to the middle higher income. Thank you.
It really our marketing principle is very simple, sir. It's very basic. We do not sell these products to non-smokers. We do not sell these products to minors. We only market IQOS and bonds by IQOS to adult smokers who would otherwise continue to smoke. And that's our marketing principle behind it. So, marketing communication that is exposed to minors, we definitely do not do that. So we do not advertise on TV, on radio, and even in print media. We only market our products to adult smokers who would otherwise continue to smoke. So you will see our products and our our marketing communications only at the point of sale, where people buy their cigarettes at our stores, and before they enter our stores, they are asked if they are smokers or not. So we don't market to non-smokers and the youth.
All right. Thanks very much. Yeah, thanks very much, Cesar. Sorry, before I get to other people who already asked, Elsa actually has a question. Elsa, please. Elsa? You're mute, Elsa. Sorry, Elsa, you're mute. Okay, maybe Elsa has some technical difficulties. Elsa, just try to your mic and video are disabled. All right, just type your message, type your question in the chat box. I'll ask it for you. While you're doing that, I'll go back to Bernie first because Bernie had a question earlier.
Yeah, Dave, maybe I missed it lang, but I'm curious. Why do you call it IQOS?
Oh, it's really a brand name. It doesn't stand for anything. Our marketing gurus from Switzerland developed the name. Some people were saying that IQOS stands for I quit ordinary smoking. It really doesn't stand for anything. No, it's a brand name.
So,
Okay. All right.
Dave, if I were to buy the device and the sticks, it will now still be under the Philip Morris brand or completely just IQOS?
No, IQOS is a product and a brand of Philip Morris International
Oh,
and PMFTC here in the Philippines. Yes.
oh. And then the sticks will be under what brand? IQOS pa rin. It will
Uh,
not carry anymore, for example, Marlboro, ganon.
Currently, the product the heat sticks are called Heats by IQOS.
Okay. Okay. Sige. Thanks very much for that, Bernie. Sorry, Ike. Ray Cangleon also raised his hand. Ray, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Good morning, Ray.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, Dave, for such presentation. I'm not a smoker, and this is the first time also I know that there is a product, IQOS, no, in the market now. Well, my question is in terms, well, I'm a technical person, also an engineer. So like Oscar, my question is in terms of the use of the tobacco leaf, no, in the stick. So if we compare the IQOS or the heat stick versus the ordinary stick, cigarette stick, in terms of percentage of tobacco leaf usage, anong malayo ba? Malaki ba ang difference in terms of usage? Because supposedly, for example, if the weight or the number of leaf present in the ordinary stick is higher than the IQOS or the heat, then that will affect also the production of tobacco leaf and with the farmers. So ano yung percentage difference ng dalawa?
Very good question, sir. But if I may just backtrack a little bit, no, as I mentioned earlier, to be successful in our vision of converting smokers to better alternatives, we have to develop first the product, the science, that it's really a better alternative to cigarettes. And at the same time, we have to make it acceptable for a smoker to switch to these products. No? Part of that process of making it acceptable to a smoker is to mimic his smoking habit. That's why you see it's very similar. longer lang nga daw yung device and the stick. But also part of that is the experience. So for example, a regular smoker, when he lights up his cigarettes, would consume the cigarettes in 6 to 7 minutes. Depending on his usage, some of them will puff 10, 12, or 14 puffs before the cigarette is used up. That is the same experience that we mimicked with IQOS. IQOS will last you for 6 minutes with 12 to 14 puffs per usage. Now, having said that, that is the closest comparison we can make in terms of tobacco content between a cigarette and the heat sticks. A cigarette contains loose, what we call loose cut filler tobacco. IQOS heat sticks contain compressed, very compressed tobacco. So pretty much the same. I would say it's not much difference. So in terms of actual experience from the smoker, it's the same. In terms of actual tobacco content, it's not that much different. And what we're saying is, before people were saying that the tobacco industry is a sunset industry with all the regulations, with all government efforts to phase out cigarette smoking. Now we don't believe it's a sunset industry anymore, because when smokers quit, they will switch to a better alternative, and the livelihood of tobacco farmers are now, I think, secure with our smoke-free future vision. It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Very
Julio,
much
a
so.
follow-up question, Julio? Okay pa ba?
Sure,
Sige,
sure.
sige.
Sige.
Yeah, ano lang, as you mentioned that the stick or the content inside is being heated up to 360 degrees. No, that's really high. So I wonder, well, technology now is so fast. I wonder if how this is being done to hit the leaf to 360 degrees in that small mechanism, you are providing. So
Opo, sabi ko kanina, we have a heating blade inside. It's a patented technology by Philip Morris International. We've secured patent for that technology, and it's a blade that can heat only up to 350 degrees centigrade. As I said, burning starts at around 800 or 900 degrees centigrade. So we are able, through this patented technology, to be able to heat the tobacco only up to 350 degrees centigrade, in order for the moisture in the tobacco leaf to be evaporated into a vapor.
So the equipment is being heated by electricity, or it's just that.
Yes,
Okay.
this is a form of electronic cigarettes. No, this is the holder of the tobacco stick, and we have a charging device for it.
Okay.
After using,
Thank you.
I charge it.
Okay, so there's a charger.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks very much for that, Ray.
Thank you.
So Elsa was able to, yeah, thanks, Ray. So Elsa was able to type in her question. So her question is, she's asking about health concerns. I think her question is basically if the risk of secondhand smoke is still a problem with IQOS devices. She said, is there a possibility, let's say for non-smokers, if they like you mentioned there's vapor that comes out of it. So if that vapor is still, let's say, within an enclosed room, there are other people with you, are there still health risks involved or associated with that? Yeah.
Again, a very good question, and again, I thank you for the opportunity to explain that. No, very basic. There is no smoke with IQOS. It's just vapor. Now, I also mentioned that there are several hundreds of studies out there, peer-reviewed studies, and internally within our company, we conducted several of these studies. In Japan, the birthplace of IQOS, where we launched IQOS first, we did an indoor air quality research. And in that research, we grouped together in one room cigarette smokers, in another room IQOS users. Excuse me. And then we started comparing after usage of IQOS and usage of cigarettes. We started comparing the indoor air quality. And surprisingly, the quality of air inside the room where people use IQOS is very, very much the same as in a room where nobody smoked or nobody used IQOS. So it's really significantly different from cigarette smoke. The vapor of IQOS, the indoor air quality of that room where we used IQOS is very much the same as a room where people did not smoke or use IQOS.
All right. Thanks very much for that. It is 9 o'clock. Ike, Oscar, and Ed Rojas all have questions, but let's reserve that for the informal session that comes after this one. So just so that I avoid any confusion, Dave, we do close out the formal session at 9 o'clock. This is all that we upload online for free to allow other people to see the lecture for free. They can see our sessions entirely free of charge. But for our members, those that are donating to us, paying membership fees, we allow them an informal session after this one, so that they can continue to ask more questions. That's a more free flowing discussion.
All right.
Oh, I'm just gonna say a few things to close out the formal session, but please stay with us. Because we've had some confusion in the past where people left after I closed out the formal session. Okay, in any case, yes, so I do have to close out the formal session, and I'd like to first present our certificate of appreciation to Mr. Dave Gomez. May we just flash that on screen? All right, so the Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation, in partnership with the Management Association of the Philippines, together with all of our members, our partner institutions, special partner institutions, senior special partner institutions, corporate members, individual members, all of us here present this certificate of appreciation to Dave Gomez for his invaluable support in the advocacy and promotion of agribusiness and countryside development, and for his commendable and unselfish services rendered to this foundation as our resource speaker, given on our 28th weekly online meeting of 2023, this first day of August in Makati City, Philippines. Signed myself as our chairman and Ernie Ordonez as our president. Okay, and may I now invite everyone to turn on your cameras for a quick photo. Let's just have a group photo. So I invite Aries, yeah. We also have somebody here, Miguel Murga. Elsa, I'd like to invite all of you to please turn on your cameras for our group photo. Okay, Gian, would you like to count us in?
All right po, we only have one page po. 1, 2, 3. Thank you po.
All right, thanks very much. And Bernie, do we have a topic lined up for next week already?
Yeah, Richard Arsenio will talk to us about farming and fishing for PWDs.
Okay, excellent. So Richard was our previous speaker talking about cooperatives here in the Philippines. And their cooperative, Bigay Buhay Multipurpose Cooperative, deals with farmers and fishers with disabilities. So I think it was a very interesting topic. I think we had a lot of questions that couldn't be answered. So thank you very much, Bernie, for inviting him to talk more in detail about how persons with disabilities are not necessarily precluded from the rigors of farming and fishing, and that certain adjustments can be made for that. Dave, you might be interested in joining that as well. Maybe there are tobacco farmers that we don't know about that have disabilities and feel that they can no longer contribute to to the industry. Okay, so with that, I'd like to close out our formal session. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. If you do have to go ahead, please, thank you very much. and we hope to see you in our next session. If you're joining us 2 weeks later through our social media uploads, unfortunately, this is the limit of what you can access for free. If you would like to join us for our informal sessions with our speaker to ask more questions and to link up with our wide network of agribusiness and countryside development organizations, really please consider joining us as our member. We only exist through the generosity of our members. The Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation is an organization founded in partnership with the Management Association of the Philippines. And it is only through your generosity that we are able to bring you our sessions every week and to do all of our activities in the service of agribusiness and countryside development. If this interests you at all, please do send us an email, introduce yourself. We'd be very happy to have you on board. Our links are in the description. And with that, thank you very much, and we hope to see you in our next session. Bye.